working on our thesis statements and topic sentences for your marginalized groups research paper. So as a quick recap, thesis statements are sentences that state the main idea of a writing assignment. They also help control and organize the ideas within your paper. That's part of the reason why we always want to start working on a draft of our thesis statement first, so that we can continue referring back to the thesis statement as we start to develop our body paragraphs, intro and conclusion. Your thesis statement should be specific. It's on a topic. It's going to cover all of the ideas that you are discussing in your paper and should be supported with specific evidence throughout the body paragraphs. 1 to 2 sentences and should summarize the specific points you plan on addressing in your essay. Your points should also be in the specific order you plan on discussing them. It's often useful to think of a thesis statement as the writer's direct answer to the prompt. I also sometimes like to think of thesis statements as a roadmap. They kind of tell the reader of your essay the stops you'll be making along the way to get to like the final destination. So I know we've already done this as an assignment, attacking the prompt, but I want to kind of quickly go over it again. As a reminder, the prompt is expository, which essentially means that you are going to be explaining a complex topic to the audience/reader. So here's a reminder of our prompt. The prompt asks us to choose a specific marginalized group of people in American society. You're conducting research in which you explore the ways in which this group has been misrepresented or mistreated, and also what effect this mistreatment has had on the group as a whole. Additionally, you are going to be researching the ways in which society has taken steps toward enacting positive changes and fixing a broken system. You should have already collected your evidence as well as completed the research quote sheet. So now we're kind of just taking all of that information and starting to develop the beginning stages of our research paper. So part of what we always want to do when we attack a prompt and start thinking about a thesis is figuring out exactly what items we need to address in our prompt. So for this one, the very first thing that the prompt asks us to do is to pick a specific marginalized group of people in American society. Then we need to conduct research in which we explore the ways in which this group has been mistreated or misrepresented. And then we also need to conduct research in which we explore the effect this treatment has had on the group as a whole. And then finally, the last part of our prompt asks us to find ways in which society can take steps towards enacting a positive change. So as you see here, we have yellow, red, green, and blue. This tells us the 4 different parts of the prompt that our thesis statement needs to directly answer. So what would this look like? For example, it's easier to break up this into almost a 2-part thesis statement. The first part being the ways in which the group has been mistreated and the effect, and then the positive change. So if we were to write this research paper on a group, the marginalized group of physical disabilities, our thesis might look like: persons with physical disabilities are underrepresented in the media, which results in false stereotyping and a lack of different able role models. In addition, in order to enact positive change, people creating television shows or films can hire actors who are different abled in order to provide inspiration to others with similar disabilities and cultivate a positive relationship with the community. So if we were to take those same 4 colors as before, these ones, so yellow, red, green, and blue, and were to apply it to this sample thesis statement, we would see that we are first, we identify the specific group of marginalized people, in this case, physical disabilities. We identified the way they are mistreated or misrepresented by stating that there is an underrepresentation or a lack of representation in the media. And we also are looking at the effect of this underrepresentation, which is it creates false stereotyping and a lack of differently abled role models. And then finally, our last part of this sample thesis is researching the ways in which to enact positive change. So people creating television shows or films can hire actors who are differently abled in order to provide inspiration. So now you are going to write one. The best place to do this is in your outline that your teacher has already provided for you on Canvas. So in this case, you are going to state your marginalized group. You're going to identify the ways in which they have been mistreated or misrepresented. You're going to identify the effects of this misrepresentation, and then explain the steps that society can take towards enacting a positive change. When you are done with that, you are also going to want to highlight your thesis to make sure that you have all 4 parts. If you cannot highlight all 4 parts, then you are missing a part of your thesis statement, which is okay. You just have to go back and add it in. So if we are using kind of the sample thesis, I would then go ahead and open up my outline. So here is the outline. This is what mine looks like. Your teacher will likely have a very similar looking one. If we scroll down to the bottom of the intro paragraph, we have our thesis statement location, and this is where you can start to draft your thesis statement. I recommend you can either type it or you can handwrite it. It's up to you. But again, you're going to want to highlight it after. So whatever makes sense to you. So if I'm using the same sample as the one I just did before, so identify the marginalized group, the ways in which they have been mistreated or misrepresented, and then the steps that can be taken towards positive change. So I will rewrite down here. So now that I have it kind of written out, I want to go back and make sure that I can highlight the parts. So we have persons with physical disabilities. We are clearly stating the marginalized community that we have chosen. And then we have underrepresented in the media, which is their mistreatment. And then we have the effect of this mistreatment, which results in false stereotyping and a lack of differently abled role models. And then finally, the 4th part of our thesis is positive change. People can create television shows to hire actors who are differently abled. The other part that this thesis statement has, which I recommend you having, is the so what. So in order to provide inspiration to others with similar disabilities and cultivate a positive relationship within the community. So it kind of states like the how is this positive. So once you have that, if you can highlight all 4 parts of your thesis statement gets the all clear, good to go. If you are not able to put all 4 parts in or highlight all 4 parts, then that's okay. Just go ahead and add in what you need to do. Now, just because this is written in our outline doesn't mean it's permanent. If you ever need to go back in and edit and change this as you work on your body paragraphs 1 and 2, that's okay. You can go back in and change this. So if you decide to change your mistreatment or change your effect or something, or the positive change, that's okay if you want to go back and re-edit this later. So the idea is that we just want to start a rough draft now so that we are able to kind of organize our ideas as we continue writing our paper.